Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Geek Press Podcast. On today's episode, Noah and Lewis talk about the film The Last Voyage of the Demeter, the brand new show One Piece, a small recap of Ahsoka, and we get slightly political as we talk about growing up and out of relationships. If you enjoy what you're listening to, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Give us positive ratings across all social media and listening platforms. Thank you and see you in a bit.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, theys and thems. My name is Luis Gutierrez, and welcome to another episode of the Geek Press Podcast. As always, I'm joined by a rotating guest celebrity co-host. Today, you know him, you love him, you're familiar with their work. Sylvester Stallone. How are you doing, Mr. Stallone?
Hey, Lewis, thanks for inviting me on the podcast.
Yeah, no problem. You had an amazing career in the 80s, kind of dwindled down in the 90s. And, occasionally you pop up in a movie here and there, and then the Expendables now.
The thing about the Expendables, you really gotta watch out for what's going on because you can watch out. That's the thing about Donald Trump.
Yeah, I understood maybe like 3 words, and I'm happy for you.
Hey guys, it's Noah. Each week I'm subjected to do a celebrity impersonation by Lewis.
I try to give you an easy
Lewis.
one.
Yeah, I was about to say thank you for choosing one I would know. But the thing is, I don't know enough about Sylvester Stallone's life to like do anything. So I was just like, I'll just make funny noises.
I just threw in Trump at the end.
Yeah.
Fuck.
But how are you? What have you been up to? What have you been listening to? What's going on?
So I've had a pretty good week, all things considered. I'm gonna ramble for a bit, okay? Is that cool with you, Noah?
Oh, you don't ask for permission. You just do it. You always ramble. Don't worry about it.
Okay. So I'm gonna walk you through my week starting from Sunday, and I'm gonna work my way through, okay? So Sunday, Elizabeth and I, it was like cinema day, so like theaters were selling tickets for like $4. We went to go see this movie called The Last Voyage of the Demeter, and it's essentially the whole plot of the movie is that Dracula's on this ship, and he's killing people one by one, and they're trying to figure out what the fuck's happening. And it sounds that whole premise right there sounds kind of dumb, right? Sounds like you're in for like a stupid movie, like you know what you're getting into, right? It was actually a pretty solid movie. Like they were heavily inspired by like aliens and stuff like that. Just like how Dracula's going one by one, taking them all out, and then like the final fight happens. It's a really good movie, and I say this unironically. If they made a sequel to that movie, I'd watch it because of how much I enjoyed the first one. And there are some parts of the movie where you're like, bruh, the answer is right in front of you. Just like, come on, you know? But it's a movie, you gotta turn off your head a little bit.
Mm-hmm. But instead, the sequel is instead of being on a ship, now they're on a plane.
The biggest thing is this, like, they're like, we should get ready, this and that, like something's killing us, and it's only happening at night. And then they start kind of putting two and two together throughout the movie. They're like, oh, like he's essentially he's allergic to the light. It'll kill him. Let's just keep fighting him during the day. I mean, during the nighttime, not during the daytime. And I'm like, bruh, like just fucking get him out during the day. Like, why are you guys fighting him on his terms? Like, fight him on your terms. And that was like one of my biggest gripes with the movie, of like the answer's right in front of you, but you refuse to acknowledge it. But anyways, other than that, good movie. I went to go watch that on Sunday, and then flash forward to Monday, the following day. I went to my local card shop, Cycle Turtles, and every Monday they have Magic and Lorcana tournaments. So I hit up Noah and I was like, "Hey Noah, let's go play Magic." And he was like, "Okay, let's go." So we went, and Noah and I were just kind of playing some card games. And I was talking to them, and everyone there was like really, really nice too. Like no one was being an asshole or anything at all. And as I was playing, I was explaining to them that I only want the Lord of the Rings deck because I just don't want to fall down that rabbit hole, you know? And I found out that the specific Lord of the Rings deck I want, which is like based around Mordor and all of like, the villains essentially, it's they stopped making it and it only go like you could only really get it now like aftermarket, and it's the usual price is like 120, 180, but the retail value of it was like 70 or like $50 between that range, give or take. And as I'm talking to these guys, there one of them was like, "Oh, hey, I have that deck. It's missing like maybe like 4 cards, but you want it? I'll sell it to you." And I'm like, "Fuck yeah." And he was like, "Here, I'll sell it to you $70 and you could keep the," and he had like a whole case with it and like sleeves and like card sleeves in it. He's like, "You keep all this $70. I'm not even gonna use this." So he was like, "You're learning how to play. You said this is the one that you want. I got it. Here." So he sold that to me and I was really fucking excited. One, because I finally got the deck I wanted like almost right away. Two, I got this for like retail value. And three, I kind of made some new friends. We exchanged phone numbers and all that. So it was really nice, really sweet. And then I kept telling myself throughout the week, "Oh, I'm gonna look through my deck. I'm gonna look through my deck." But I was like pretty busy this whole week. So yesterday I managed to look through my deck, but I'll get to that in a second. So that was Monday. Played some Magic in person for the first time, and it was a lot of fun. It was really a lot of fun. And this whole week I was like writing a couple of news. Like I got a lot better at balancing work, like my part time job versus like my freelance job. So I was able to do a good chunk of stories. And these last couple weeks, I kind of felt like I don't think I talked about this publicly on the podcast, but I felt like I had a rock with my writing, where I was just consistently like fucking up, And my editors were being cool with me and this and that. And then, but as of like late, maybe like since Gamescom, as is when I really noticed it when I helped cover that for GameSpot. But I was writing some stories this week, and I was like, damn, I'm turning these out quick as fuck. Minimal edits. I feel like I got my mojo back, and it felt good. It felt good to like have that feeling back, because I know I'm not the best at writing, but I feel like I'm pretty good at writing. And having that feeling back feels really good. Feels really fucking good. And so that was like the middle of the week, give or take, where I kind of realized I had my mojo back. I'm almost done with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And then let's see here. Let's roll around to like it was like Thursday or Wednesday. No, it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday. I get off of work and I'm just kind of scrolling through Twitter because I wrote an article or two before I went to work. And I was like, "Oh, let me see if they tweeted it out because usually they do." And I'm looking for the tweet. I find it, retweet it, like it. And I keep scrolling down and then I found out that Bethesda, their upcoming game Starfield, they have this collector's edition called the Constellation edition, whatever, or something like that. Essentially, what it comes with is a metal case for the game. This like digital, you don't actually get the disc, but it comes with like a digital code for the disc, and you get a patch. You get all the DLC for free, or the upcoming DLC for free, and you get like this briefcase that then the reason like why this briefcase is such a big deal is apparently because this is like the briefcase, the way it's made is like the way it's the same kind of thing that astronauts would take with them to space. It's of like the same caliber. And you get this watch, and the watch is like really like it's really like space techy and shit. And it's supposed to like I could be making this part up, but they said it's like on par with like what like what like astronauts would use. And the watch is something that your character in Starfield uses too. So I was like, I really wanted this because it's space, all this and that. I really like Bethesda. I really like space. I want to get this. So as I got home, I saw that GameSpot tweeted out like, "Hey, GameStop just restocked on these right now. Fucking act on it fast." And that was like a 6 hour gap from when I saw that and from when it was tweeted. I literally jumped up. I told my girlfriend, I was like, "Hey, do you think this is a smart decision if I buy this? Because if you say no, then I'm not gonna buy it." And she was like, "Yeah, just go for it. Like you don't really buy yourself too many things, so go for it." So I put it on my credit card, secured the purchase. It should be coming by like Monday, and I'm really excited to get that watch. I'm really excited to do that. I'm probably gonna do a whole unboxing video, be on the Geek Press YouTube channel. Go check it out when it drops, and which will probably be around the time this podcast drops. So yeah, I'm really really excited about that, and I just keep looking at my emails. I'm like, ooh, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And I'm super excited. And the watch is probably gonna be something I only wear for like industry events or like really special events because I don't want that watch to like fall apart.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was that. Obviously, we played some D&D. Had a really good time playing D&D with you. Played some video games with my buddies, and yeah, that was like essentially my week in a nutshell. But there is a quick story I want to tell,
Mhm.
but this could wait because this just happened last night. But this could wait if you want to catch us up on your week first.
No, I'm invested in this week. We gotta finish it out.
Okay. So I had these group of friends that I grew up with in high school, and we were in football together, and he introduced me to his group of friends, and he was my neighbor, and we were tight. We were really tight, and especially during like summer football time, we'd always go very homoerotica. We'd always like work out at each other's houses and spend like every day with each other when we weren't practicing. And
No, that's not homoerotica.
it's like
It's
very
only homoerotica if you make it
it
homoerotica.
was pretty like if you look back at it, we're like, come on, bro, let's
Let men be
oh, we
friends.
can be
You have to
friends.
you make everything gay. You liberals these days, you make everything gay.
I'm so happy you said that because
Oh my god.
this is part of the story. So part of the fucking
Go
story.
on, go on then, go on.
All right. And this guy has always been kind of fucking dumb, but he just thinks he's smart because he's loud, and no one really wants to talk over him. And to give you like an idea, like no hate on anyone who does this or anything, but like he joined this program, this government program called the Job Corps, ended up dropping out of that, and was like bouncing from job to job and moved to Vegas. Didn't know what he was going to do with his life. So he joined the military. He joined the Air Force. And that was like really the last I heard of him. Well, not really. Like we loosely kept tabs, and every now and then we would talk to each other. He and he moved to like Idaho or Ohio, one of the fucking two, in like middle America, the places that don't really matter. And every time I would talk to him, he would like let shit slip that like he's like super Republican. And I don't care if you're Republican, but I care if you're a fucking idiot and a Republican. Like be educated. And he would let stupid shit slip. Like I remember he was like openly defending Space Force and saying like how it's like a great thing. I'm like, bro, like that's one of the fucking stupidest things Trump's could have done.
Mhm.
And he was like defending it was like the Stormy Daniels thing with Trump, and he was like defending it. I'm like, bro, there's proof that he did this. And he was like, no, 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 he just like he was clearly ignoring evidence that was right there in front of people,
Mhm.
like a lot of Trumpians do. And if you've listened to this podcast, we have said this before, but Trump's a fucking moron, and like a lot of his supporters, I feel bad for them. Like I don't want to like make fun of them, but I just kind of feel bad for them because it's like you got, and you're deep into this. So what had happened was last night I was playing Xbox, and before I went to bed, I was like, "Oh, hey, he's online. Let me just go talk to him for a bit. It's been a while." So I joined his group chat, and I'm like, "Hey, blah 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 blah. Let's do that. We're just catching up." And so me and another mutual who were also equally like tight because we were in that same friend group,
Mhm.
we were talking about him, and then he was like, "Hey, put your wife on the phone." And so we are talking to his wife. And so then she's giving me her story, and I'm not gonna really say much, but she had like a pretty like intense early life. And so she was from Louisiana and moved to Ohio, Idaho, wherever the fuck they are, and that's how they met. And
Mhm.
so then I was like, man, you should have just come over here to California. We'll take care of you at the blue state, baby. I said it like that. And she was like, oh, you're a Democrat, huh? And I'm like, yeah, why do you sound shocked? I live in California. Of course I'm a Democrat.
Mhm.
And so then she goes on this whole tirade about like, oh, Biden is like a baby sniffer every time you guys talk. Like she just goes off. Like every time you guys talk about Trump, all you say is that he got arrested. That's all you got to say. And we're over here Biden sniffing babies and and like she's just going off on this whole fucking Republican rant.
Mhm.
And just without acknowledging how like all the evidence in Trump, like all this evidence of like Mar-a-Lago, how he's been indicted, how he's been arrested like twice, how his whole like she just brushes over all of that. And so I'm just like, whatever. And then she was like, socialism's never gonna work because that's what Democrats want. They just want socialism. They want everyone to be lazy and this and that. I'm like, that's not what we want. And they're like, oh, universal health care, it's not gonna work. Where do you think that money's gonna come from? I'm like, taxes. It's right in front of you. We pay taxes. Might as well put some universal health
Mhm.
care. She goes on this whole tirade. And like I was just like, girl, like, and she was like, oh, you sound like an uninformed Democrat. And I'm thinking, I'm like, baby girl, little do you know, I have a fucking degree in journalism. I know what I'm talking about. I didn't say it, but at a point, I just let her talk. And then my other friend was like, damn, you really upset him. I'm like, no, I'm just not gonna argue with ignorance. And she was like, that's funny because I say the same thing. I'm like, yeah, well, I said it first. And I'm kind of I'm doing like little kid insults. And she's going on, and keep in mind too, this is this dude's wife, so I'm like,
Mhm.
she's a reflection of you and you're a reflection of her, you know like I don't I completely understand that, like, people, when you marry someone, they're completely different individuals, but to some degree there are specks of you in her, and you get what I'm saying.
Mhm.
And so I'm just like, oh my god, Michael, like, oh yeah, his name's Michael, I let it slip, not the same Michael I play video games with on Twitch, different Michael. um I'm like, oh my god, dude, like, you're a fucking idiot, what have you done. And so, and then they're talking and talking, and she's telling me this whole story of why she didn't get the vaccine, right? Goes on this whole fucking rant saying, I used to work at a hospital as a nurse, and then they fired us all because we didn't get the vaccine, and it's unconstitutional, so we could sue them now, blah 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 blah. And she goes through this whole fucking song and dance of how, like, she got exempt from taking it, like how she went step by step by step by step, right, to not take the vaccine, and because of that now she can still work adjacent in the medical field, but like not in like
Mhm.
hospitals. It's like very like very I'm trying to be vague because I don't want to like out some people, but but she works in hospice now because that's all she can legally do because she refuses to get the COVID shot. And so she's explaining to me and my other friend like all this thing, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, baby girl, like, just get the fucking COVID shot. That's so much easier than all these steps you're doing to get around it not taking the COVID shot, you know? And so then what ends up happening, she ends up leaving. Michael gets back on the headset, and he was like, oh yeah, she really got you mad, huh, Luis? Blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, dude, like, I'm like, you just don't get it. Like, it was sad. It was more sad than anything. And then he
Mhm.
starts talking about Trump, and he was like, I'm like, bro, like, he starts like shitting on Biden. I'm like, yeah, you can talk shit about Biden all you want. I don't have an allegiance to Biden like you, like a lot of Republicans do to Trump. And so he was like, yeah, blah 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 blah, and like just praising Trump. I'm like, that motherfucker got arrested, and there's a good chance he's gonna go to jail. And then this is when I officially like clicked in my head, like, oh yeah, I'm done being your friend now. Like, I don't care.
Mhm.
I don't care that we've been friends for years. He was like, yeah, but so who the fuck cares? Like, even if he goes to jail, he's still gonna be the president of the United States, still gonna be my president. And I'm like, oh my god, bro, what the fuck? What the fuck did I just hear? And he just keeps going on, and then he was like, yeah, dude, like, he was like, it's so, and he's going all over the place too. So that's why I'm kind of going all over the place. And so then he starts saying, he was like, yeah, and then like the Republicans cheated, and that's the only reason why Biden got elected, because like, I remember election night, Trump had this big old lead, and all of a sudden the Democrats like activate cheat mode and Biden wins. And I'm like, it's called an upset. That shit happens a lot. And he was like, obviously they fucking cheated, blah blah blah, and that's why he got dicked out of the election. And so I had this. I was texting my girlfriend because she doesn't like this guy for a whole nother set of reasons. And I texted her. I'm like, hey, you're gonna. She's asleep, and she woke up to these text messages. I'm like, you're gonna be happy, but I'm not fucking with this dude anymore because X Y Z. And I was just like, damn, like, kind of hurt a little bit because I grew up with the guy. We were boys and all that, and I'm just like, I gotta cut you loose. I gotta cut you loose. You're just a headache. You're just a headache I don't want to deal with. You're insanely ignorant. And I think moral to the story of what I'm getting to this right here is that it's okay to cut people off no matter how long you've known them, especially if they're not willing to listen to rhyme or reason and they're stuck in their own ways that are wrong, or that are just flat out fucking ignorant. Sorry,
No, it's you know what? I'm gonna tell you exactly what I tell friend of the podcast, Jake, who is great, and I love him, and he's wonderful. And I'm not saying this because he messaged me about our mistreatment of him on the last podcast. I just want to say how great he is. Friend of the podcast, Jake. He has like cousins that are Republicans, hardcore
Mm-hmm.
QAnon shit.
Yeah, I remember him telling me a little bit of that too.
And you know what I always tell him is that you can't engage with these people because the moment you engage with them on like a serious level, like the moment you start being serious with them, they win because they think that they have some victory over you because
Mm-hmm.
they don't think about things. They're very reactionary. They're very like they just repeat rhetoric, and it's just there's no winning with these people. Their brains are now stuck like this,
Mm-hmm.
and I know this sounds silly, but it's just like there's no point in wasting your energy fighting with people that aren't open to change.
Yeah, I 100% agree because the second I stopped talking about Trump and started talking about like specific Republicans, I could hear the in their head because they didn't know what to say. I
Mhm.
was like, okay, you don't want to talk about Trump, we can talk about this, and they had no idea what the fuck I was talking about. Like during the the GOP debate, I name dropped like three or four different people. They didn't know who the fuck I was talking about, and
Mhm.
I was like, so all you do is pay attention to this guy? But anyways, yeah, I'm sorry. I've literally been
No,
talking for
it's
about close to
fine.
20 minutes.
It's just crazy because I don't know. I kind of feel like the Republican Party's really fucked themselves, and the Democratic Party is really fucked.
Yeah,
But I feel like a big difference is that at least Democrats are willing to at least try to
we're
change.
self-aware.
We're at least a little self-aware. Like, of course, there are those fucking head ass Democrats that are fucking ruining shit because there always is in every party.
Hmm.
But at least like there's people that are willing to change their mind. But it's just people that are so like Trump focused they just can't see anything else, and it sucks because for Republicans, because anytime they bring up any other candidate that will serve their party better, like the higher ups, it's not going to work out for them because so many like regular people are still on the Trump train.
Hmm.
So they really divided themselves with whoever they choose. Because I know a lot of upper Republicans don't fuck with Trump anymore, but it's hard to not because they raised him up so much. He built up so much like uh fanfare with people, and it's hard to divorce yourself from someone who has like captured the hearts and minds of so many people. So it just sucks to be Republicans. Like whoever tries to be the next candidate is gonna have to fight the Trump crowd. They're gonna be like, "Oh, you're not as smart as Trump. Oh, you're not as hard as Trump." And it's just gonna divide them even more.
Hmm.
And y'all fucked yourselves.
Yeah, that was my whole conversation last night. I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna have to hit ejectocito on you. Sorry, I know I
But
rambled a
no,
lot.
there's. I think you did have a very valuable lesson, which is it's okay to cut off friends when you've kind of grown in separate ways.
Hmm.
Which is why I'm here to tell you right now, Lewis, that I'm cutting you off. I'm so sorry. You didn't watch One Piece like I asked you to. And speaking of things that I've been doing,
Yeah, how was
I
your week? What have you been
it's like I've been
consuming?
catching up on TV. I of course watched Ahsoka, which is a lot of fun.
You on
I
episode
feel
3 or
like
4 now?
3.
Okay, okay.
This is coming across very similar to this is coming across very similar to Kenobi in the sense that I feel like it's getting better as episodes go on.
Okay.
Plus, I feel like Dave Filoni wrote all of this. I feel like his writing works well in these like 30-minute segments
Mhm.
because the first episode was like an hour or something, and I wasn't there was choices that I didn't really like. But this episode and the next one were like 33 minutes. And I was like, when you're more sometimes people are just better when they have compact pieces to write. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun like they're finally getting to the planet. It was sort of like one of those episodes where it's all like movement,
Oh,
like
it's
a lot of moving pieces.
like a setup episode for the next episode kind of thing?
Yeah, but it still had like action and adventure in it, so it was a lot of fun.
Okay, okay.
So
What
I watched that,
what's
really enjoyed it.
happening? Give me some details.
Oh right, okay. For our crowd that doesn't know, Lewis doesn't have Disney Plus, so we think it'll be funny if he only watches like the first episode and the season finale. So that's the plan. So episode 3, the green
The
head
Green
lady
Goblin?
Hera, the Green Goblin. She's just like Spider-Man. I'm going to kill you.
Because
No,
we established in our last episode that the universes are converging on our fucking
oh,
crack-filled
God.
episode.
Where we just gave into our darkest impulses.
Yeah, because Ezra is
Oh, man.
building. We've established he could build portals and time travel.
Mhm.
Somehow the streams got crossed, and he's in the MCU now. You guys just don't know it yet.
And that's phase 5.
Yeah. No,
So
he's
basically,
Kang.
oh,
He's
he's Kang.
yeah.
Ezra's Kang. We need to get rid of Jonathan Majors anyway, so it works out.
Yeah.
But basically, Hera goes to the New Republic and she's like, "Hey, we have all this evidence. Let's go do this shit." And then the senators, Mon Mothma's there, and she's like, "Oh, that fucking sucks. You're right." But the senators are like, "Oh, really? As far as I can see, there is no evidence supporting the return of Thrawn. And honestly, Hera, isn't this all about your personal mission to find your friend Ezra? You're allocating New Republic forces
That
for
sounds
your own
kind of
personal interest."
like how they sprinkled that shit in with Mando.
No, it's exactly that. It's another version of that where you kind of see like the ineffectiveness of the New Republic government.
Okay.
I've raved about this book on the podcast before, but
Yeah.
if you're into Star Wars literature, Bloodlines by Claudia Gray stars Princess Leia before the First Order. It really shows like how the government has devolved in the sense that the New Republic very much tried to return to the government they had before the Empire, but because that government was already incredibly flawed and really just falling apart, they kind of returned to that same structure. And to make it even worse, there's former Imperials and people that are Imperials still in the system. Very, because we've already seen like versions of flavors of Operation Paperclip and Mando, where they like took old scientists to do new projects. And it's just very interesting. So that was like one half, not one half, but one chunk of the episode is like Hera being like, "Well, Ahsoka, this is why you guys are doing this solo because we can't fucking help you. I'm a general. I can't move without these assholes on my ass. So sorry." And the second episode was Ahsoka and Sabine training.
Mhm.
She's good with weapons, but she has no force aptitude.
Mhm.
And if there's a really funny moment where the robot is just like, "Oh yeah, you fucking suck," and Ahsoka's like, "Why'd you tell her she sucks?" And the robot's like, "Well, it's true." And I'm just like,
Damn.
"Damn." But yeah, they find the giant space ring or whatever, and they get into a firefight, and they land on the planet to hide, and now they're just gonna chillin'.
Okay.
So they're trying to figure some
Do,
shit
do
out.
they
But
do they mention do they like talk about where Ezra or Thrawn can be, or could or is potentially at right now?
okay, the idea is that the okay, so they need the reason they're all after this map because the map will take them to another galaxy where theoretically Thrawn is supposed to be. Now this map is all ancient because there's these they kind of explain it in the episode. There's these space whales that travel on hyperlanes, and this map
And
kind
those
of
whales have been like sorry, I know I interrupted you.
no, they've been around.
Yeah, they're like they get a glimpse in Mando, and then they're like really prominent in like Rebels, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
And so but they explain it in the episode in case you don't know what the fuck those are. There's like, oh, these hyperspace whales that take hyperspace lanes. Like this is a map of their
They
lanes. So you can
fucking
follow them
they
to like the
bought
edge of the
the
galaxy.
they have the express highway lane.
Yeah, they got a map of the express highway lane that the space whales use. So like that's why it's a big thing. And they're
Okay.
like, oh, we gotta follow them. So I'm not sure what the plan is now, but I know that in the trailer, they're on the planet they're on. They're Ahsoka and Sabine fight their like counterparts.
Okay.
So I think that's coming next episode, and then
Mhm.
after that, all the scenes in the trailers are done, and there's like 4 more episodes, so it's all new stuff from here on out.
Okay.
That's very exciting. So I have been watching that.
Now, do you think they're gonna do the Disney thing where it's like we need some more help? No, 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 no. Mando, please help us or some shit like that. Do you see something like that kind of brewing up?
No. There
Okay.
is a shot in the trailer where Hera is on the planet, like just her.
Mhm.
So there's a chance where she's just gonna be like, honestly, fuck the New Republic. I'm gonna go help my friend. So she might do that, but aside from that, I don't know if anyone else is showing up.
Mhm.
I don't know why Mando would show up. Ahsoka and him don't really know each other that well. They've like met twice,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not sure what reason he would have for showing up.
Did they ever say how Mando and Ahsoka met, or is that just kind of like thrown in a scene
Oh, it's
together?
in episode 2. I mean, I'm sorry, season 2. They meet. Basically, they met. They met in season 2 of Mando. Basically.
Okay. So she actively like sees Luke and like, hey, I have a.
Oh, you mean Luke? And I thought you said her and Mando.
Oh no, my bad. I was talking about her and Luke.
Oh, we don't know. We have no
Yeah,
idea.
it was just that one scene, right, where they're just kind of kicking it.
And it's like CGI Luke.
Yeah, and it was like, all right, I guess they know each
And
other.
I'm just like, why?
Listen, I don't hate on CGI Luke like you do. I don't
I
think it's
just don't
bad.
care. I'm just like I don't care for it, and I'm just like the actor you guys have the actor you've used before looks so much like him. Just have him.
Mm-hmm. I
Like, come on.
110% agree with you on that.
Like, it's just pointless.
Yeah, and it's also really weird, just the fact that like the obvious elephant in the room that he's like fucking old, and
Mm.
he's no longer like in his 20s, 30s.
And it's just like, guys, come on. Oh, I found it. The woman who plays the bad guy, she is the goddaughter of Bruce Lee.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. Sorry, I was drinking
It's all good.
water. Um. Anyways, after that, I watched One Piece. I watched all of One Piece.
Is it good?
It's really good. I don't know. It's hard to say with these anime adaptations whether or not they look good, because that's just like such a flop concept that I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why people keep trying. And I'm not sure if it was like the cast and crew or the writing or the fact that they had the mangaka guy show up. Like, they wouldn't let him. They gave him so much power. He wouldn't let things run unless he approved the script.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they had him involved so deeply and crazily that I was surprised. But it's really good. I enjoyed it a lot. There's a couple moments that are a bit lackluster just because I don't know how to explain this. Like, you probably know how I'm feeling, but like there's stuff in manga and anime that you just can't pull off
Mm-hmm.
anywhere
Like
else.
the scratch into the head, like ha ha ha, silly me.
Mhm.
That's always my go-to example.
But even like emotional moments or like the way lines are drawn on people or like serious moments.
Yeah, you're like,
There are certain
and then, like they
Mhm.
look all goofy and like
Or
drawing
like crying where there's like tears, like the tears take up
when
half your
they're
face
when
and
they're overly animated.
yeah, and it's just something that's just so hard to replicate in live action.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a couple moments where there's supposed to be like emotional stuff that just don't hit as hard as they did in the manga. But at the same time, if you see someone acting in live action the way some people would act in animes, it would just come off as fucking ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So they try to find like a healthy balance of like trying to adapt like themes and moments from the manga and anime, but still trying to have that like live action tick.
Uh-huh.
And I think they're pretty successful. Oh, sorry, I'm
Okay. No,
boring you.
no, I'm sorry. It's
Sorry, I'm
okay.
boring you. It's just whenever anybody talks about One Piece with you, you start
Yeah.
falling asleep.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I'm aware of the curse that you have. Um, basically though, I would highly recommend it.
I
I tried to
know.
get Lewis to watch episode 1, but I failed.
Yeah, and I had to be fair, I was not gonna watch this to begin with, and everyone is like, "Oh, I want to fuck Zoro," and you know what? I want to fuck Zoro too. Pretty handsome guy.
Oh, you know what? For okay, usually I'm on the bandwagon. I've wanted to fuck Zero since forever, so I feel happy I'm ahead of this time. I'm ahead.
This is how I felt with Miguel O'Hara when I was like, "Oh, all of a
Yeah.
sudden everyone's a 2099 fan."
Exactly. I wanted to fuck Zoro for years.
uh,
But it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. The action's decent. I
mm-hmm.
feel like they're a little afraid of doing the more like like there a lot of people have powers,
Uh-huh.
and in the manga and anime, they're very casual about their use of them.
Ah.
And in the live action, I think because I don't know if it's because of budget or they want to save them or whatever, they're a bit more like reserved.
Mm-hmm.
but I'd like to find out why they're so reserved. But it's fun. There's a fun moment in the fandom where the main character Luffy has a lot of stretchy powers,
He's Mr.
and
Fantastic.
yeah, it looks decent.
Okay.
Well, he's not
They
fantastic. He's like made of rubber.
well they show it off in the trailer, and one of the trailers a
Mhm.
little bit him like stretching out.
Yeah, and it looks fine, and there's a lot. It's very funny because there's a lot of people that's just like, Feige, I'm under your bed. This looks fucking fine. You could have done this with Miss Marvel. Da 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 da. So there's a bunch of people complaining about that. I thought that was funny.
Different studios, hun.
I just thought it was funny. They're like, oh, fucking Feige, I'm under your bed. Like, okay, fuck. But I'm very excited to be sick because now I'm gonna watch my next show to watch is Andor. So that's great. I'm gonna come back to you next week with Andor. I'm gonna be like, oh, this is the best thing that's happened to Star Wars since something
I
else.
will say I saw like maybe like episode 1, episode 2, and maybe like parts of 3. I fucking love the set pieces of episode 1. It's like very like Blade Runner, cyberpunk, neon
Hmm.
lights and shit. I love that. I'm a whore for that. Give me some of that, some like little water drops on the floor. Oof, you got me. But I wasn't. It wasn't enough to finish the show though.
You know what? I can respect that.
All right. You know, I'm gonna go through a list of shows right now, and
Okay.
I'm just gonna fucking like torpedo through this. So tell me yes, no, if you're interested. Okay. Let me look through the shows I've watched this year. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So
I've watched very few shows, so
Chainsaw Man,
yes.
White Lotus,
No.
Legend of Vox Machina,
Yes.
Last of Us.
Yes.
You.
No.
You would like that actually. I think you would like you. I.
Okay. Okay,
Uh.
continue with those. Continue with
Okay.
those.
Okay.
Continue with those.
My Hero Academia,
No.
Attack on Titan,
No.
South Park,
No.
Barry,
No.
Ted Lasso.
No.
I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson,
No.
Dave,
No.
Shameless,
No.
Record of Ragnarok,
No.
The Bear.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Let
The
me.
bear's really good.
That's some of the best television out there. Okay. I know last year I watched a lot more television. Let me see.
For
Nah.
those of you that for those of you that don't know, Lewis does this fun thing that I've been meaning to get into, but I just don't do it. It's where he keeps a record of like what movies and TV shows he's seen. And I think that's a lot of fun for
Yeah.
like the year.
Mm-hmm. I've always told myself I wanted to make a what's that app? I know Diego uses it where like you casually
Oh,
review movies.
Letterbox or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah. I essentially have my own version of Letterbox, if you will, but I just use my notes app. And after I finish watching a show, like I have rules. If I'm watching a show and it's like it's already done, I won't put every season on my list. I'll wait until I finish the entire show because the odds are I'm gonna finish it by the end of the year if I'm like consistently watching it. That's why I didn't put like Shameless season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And um, but if the show's ongoing and it's still coming out as of like the year I watch it, I make sure to put like let's say Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm like, oh, Jujutsu Kaisen season 2, or Jujutsu Kaisen season 2 part 1. Like I emphasize it a little bit. But yeah, it's a fun thing, and it's nice to like go back and look at your list because obviously you're not gonna remember every movie you saw, or you're not gonna remember every TV show you saw. But with this list, it's like, oh yeah, let me look at it really quick. I'm like, I do remember watching Suzume. That was a okay movie, and I'm looking through my list of shows I watched. Oh yeah, fucking White Lotus season 2. That was a great TV show, which it really was, by the way.
Oh, you know what I've also started watching?
I started watching
That
Harley
I
Quinn. Oh, sorry.
oh my gosh, what do you think of it?
Oh, I've the new season. My bad. Let me specify that the new
Oh,
season.
okay. I've heard some mixed things about the new season.
So far it's pretty good. I think I'm like 1 or 2 episodes in. Like,
Mhm.
I've been kind of jumping through a lot of different shows right now, but it's good. I've always there hasn't been a season of Harley Quinn that I haven't enjoyed because I like the fucking off the charts banana shit they do with it.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, but what were you gonna say? You just started watching?
That vampire show we talked about last
Oh,
podcast.
What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that.
I'm happy you like it. Sorry, I had a burp. I tried to watch it like a year or two ago, and I just kind of fell off of it because the humor, it's very much like The Office season 1, where it's like very dry humor at first, and I feel like as again as an outsider watching it, I feel like as the show goes on, they find their footing. Like they
Mhm.
things start to click with them. They're like, oh, you're this is you. This character is more, it follows this trope, you know. So that's my
Mhm.
opinion of it, though. I'm not hating on it because, like I said, the first season that I watched, I found really funny, but there were some parts I didn't really care for. But I see clips on TikTok all the time, and that shit's fucking. It never doesn't make me laugh.
Mhm.
Like there was this one I saw where who's the British guy? The one who
I have no idea.
he's the one married to the other girl.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He was like, the wife was talking to him, and then she was like, "Don't look at my hairy frog," and he was like, "The only hairy frog I care about is the one between your legs." And she was like, "Oh,
Oh
it's
my
not
god.
just a hairy frog, it's a whole swamp." And he's like, "Yeah, it is," and they both start laughing, and that shit just fucking had me died.
Oh my god. But yeah, I'm gonna try it now that I'm sick. I have an excuse to get into TV more
hmm I'm
because
happy.
it's really
I can
that's
recommend a lot of
isolating.
shows.
I'm okay. And not because of you, but just because I have a million things on a list already.
It's because of me. It's so good.
It is because of you. I watched Chainsaw Man for you.
What'd you think of it?
I don't care for the horny parts, but otherwise it's fine. I enjoy it.
That's such a bummer because that's like, you know how in JoJo, like being gay is embedded into the show,
Mhm.
being horny is embedded into Chainsaw Man.
Oh, that's a shame. Just because like I just don't care for like horny jokes and stuff in anime. Like, oh, let me see your panties, like that. Those type of jokes. I don't like
I think
those.
the reason why I like Chainsaw Man about it is because it's super self aware, you know, and
Hmm.
it reminds me of like that's some jokes I'd make in middle school, and it just makes me laugh. But then when it gets serious, and that's what I like about it.
Hmm. And then just the main character's reaction to serious moments is like so out of pocket,
hmm
just because he's like this strange enigma person. So I don't know.
Okay, so what else, Noah? So what else are you doing?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. I'm doing a little dance for those for our audio listeners.
Okay.
Doing a little this, a little bit of that. Oh, I just did a backflip. Ooh, ah.
Oh, so really quick. So in our campaign, my our D&D campaign, for those who are unaware, I stream every Wednesday on twitch.tv/. I'm Joshua Joestar at 7 p.m. No, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or 8-ish, I should say. Um, and in our campaign, one thing that happened very early on, because Noah is our DM, he's our lovely DM. He
Mhm.
we were in a cave, we were in a dungeon, we were doing something. I don't remember the exact. And there was this black goo, kind of like a symbiote goo, if you will, more or less, in a jar. And in our campaign, bitch of the pod, I'm just kidding, he's not a bitch, I love him. Rudy. This is the first time we brought up Rudy. In the campaign, Rudy and I always go, we're like little kids where it's like, I saw it first, and we like try to like grab shit from each other. Like in our campaign, he has like 1,500 gold of mine that my character doesn't know about, and he just hasn't brought it up with my character, and that's the kind of relationship we have in our campaign. Anyways, so very early on in the early sessions, when it was just Kevin, Rudy, and me and Noah, we cleared a dungeon, and there was this like black ooze, and Noah's like, "Oh, it's this," he's describing it, getting us all in the mood. And Rudy's like, "Oh, let me grab it," and I'm like, "No, I'm gonna grab it first." So we roll to see who grabs it first. I grab it, and then Rudy's trying to say like, "Oh, I'm gonna like wrestle it from him," and I'm like, "Oh, before he has a chance, I'm just gonna drink this ooze." And so I ended up drinking it, and my character, I essentially drank like the essence or like the soul of a person. We're still kind of like, at least I'm still figuring out what the fuck this is happening. And it's kind of like the best thing I could kind of compare it to is like in Cyberpunk when like Keanu Reeves is in your head, except except this guy's not actively trying to take control of my body.
Yeah, he's just vibing and writing
Yeah.
fanfic.
And so Noah gave me this list, and I found out that like my character is fucking like overpowered now, and I love it because I was looking through the doc the other day too. So I'm looking at it right now, and it made me super excited that there are like two other phases that I haven't even unlocked yet for this. And Noah was like telling us like, obviously in character and shit. He was like, "Yeah, you can fly now." And like you have some other abilities that like, we gotta fuck with. We gotta tinker. So my character, as soon as I found out I could fly, and I didn't even know like the logistics of how I could fly because it was kind of up in the air if I even could. I just like I had my character like jump off like this big ass boat like fucking that was like 100 feet up in the air going right into the water, and I was just flying around like Superman. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And now I found out that he could get even stronger, and I'm even more excited for
I'm excited you're excited. That's all I have to say.
that. Now, my question is to you. I know you've always say you play fast and loose. How did you come up with this right here? Like the phase 1, phase 2,
Um,
phase 3.
I think because um when you give players things, they have certain expectations, and I think some people are like, well, what's the point of doing this thing if I'm not going to get this thing? Is it a fun story detail or is it going to pay off for the long run?
Mhm.
So when people make choices, I want to say, okay, how can I develop these choices to make them more engaging for the player? Like if you get a spirit inside you, do you just ask him for information? Well, he can't remember anything. Okay, well, how is this benefiting the player? Just having a guy to talk to? Okay, well, how can we make it benefit the player? Okay, we'll let him have some abilities. And
Okay.
it's a thing that's like, okay, well, maybe let's say if a certain player had regained their original memories, they would have maybe gotten some cool bonuses. Maybe they would have gotten like they would have remembered how to do certain things or like do something else. But then when they choose not to go that route, I have to figure out another way to give them stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'll give them items.
Mhm.
So you just got to see what your players are invested in and what they have interest in and how you can make that benefit the player.
Mhm.
So when I got that spear, I wasn't initially planned to give you any bonuses. But because you seem so dedicated to talking to the spirit, finding more about it, what can it do? Like, okay, this. And it's like, okay, let's play with that. What can the spirit do? How
Mhm.
can the spirit benefit you? And you kind of develop that and see where it takes you. So the benefits the spirit inside you were that could give you, that wasn't like originally planned. That was something that I kind of like put together because I
Cuz
was like, okay,
that's what I thought.
you seem invested. You
I
seem invested in the spirit, so I'll give it stuff to do.
I had always thought this was planned from the beginning. So I was like, "Oh, okay, it's
Mhm.
cool to see that." But it's interesting to know that you workshopped this in it as like we continue to play.
Mhm. Like, if you forgot all about it, then I would be like, "Oh, well, I don't need to do anything with it then if you're not interested in the spirit." But since you keep talking, like, recover your memories. Let's see where this takes us." Like, okay, how can I make this spirit benefit the guy who's putting time and energy into it?
Mhm.
And since I can't do it with like a knowledge check because the spirit is fucking, I don't know anything about my origins. We'll do fucking physical bonuses. So
Mhm.
that's just kind of a thing I decided to do.
And I know we talked about this like we talked about this off podcast, but I and you more or less agreed that like I feel like we're near the end of not near the end, we're like in the middle of our campaign, We're and it's really interesting for especially for someone like me because this will be the first campaign that I have ever finished from beginning to end, assuming we get to the end. But it's
Mhm.
kind of looking like we're gonna get to the end because those are,
We haven't taken a day off in a few weeks, so I'm pretty happy about that.
yeah, and it's looking like we're gonna get to the end too because I try my best as a player and not as a character to keep us on par, like if we're straying off too much. And for to give you guys an instance of this, Noah Noah was building up this thing in our campaign that like, oh hey, there's this mermaid or sea creature can grant you a wish, and like you can wish for anything you want. And we were like, oh yeah, this is super cool, blah 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 blah. But then right before we were gonna go on there, it clicked in my head. I was like,
You
"Fuck!"
fucked me over.
I was like, "Fuck! This is cool and all, but what does this have to do with the main campaign? Like, what are we gonna accomplish from this? You know?" And so I was like, "Hey, I was like, let's split the party real quick," and I got one of the other party members to follow me. And I feel like overall, yeah, and I did kind of fuck over Noah, but I feel like, again, now,
You did.
tell me if I'm wrong, okay?
You're wrong.
But I feel like this kind of helped you a little bit because you could tell two story beats at the same time now. Because how this essentially ended was that like my character went to go talk to like a whole another nation to go help them like aid us in a war, and now when the other characters went back to like their headquarters, they found out like this leader of the nation that's been helping them has like been killed. And I feel like that maybe helps you out a little bit because maybe that was something you were already cooking up this whole time, or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't know what goes on in that nasty head of yours. I'm just trying to get some insight.
I want to say that you fucked me so hard, harder than I'm used to. Because I was like, oh, well, we can go to the Wish Granters, then go visit the underwater sea. And you're like, nope, nope, we're gonna do it at the same time. We're gonna go. And I kept saying like, oh, we can visit the Wish person, then go to the embassy. And you're like, nope, nope, we're splitting the party. And I was like, you son of a bitch, because I specifically had story beats planned for you and your character. Since you helped move a lot of the plot along, I was like, I'm gonna put stuff out, and then you weren't even there for it.
I'm sorry.
Son of a bitch. But it's still gonna happen. Just the thing is, like the thing about recycling as a DM is that if things don't happen a certain way, you can always pick them up and have them happen somewhere else. So like your stuff is still gonna happen, just not in the way I planned it. And you just gotta be flexible.
All right. Now I've asked you this once. So I'm gonna ask you now on the record.
Yeah.
How many more sessions, roughly ballpark number, do you think we're gonna have
Mhm.
before this campaign is wrapped up?
I have no fucking idea.
Come on, I know you got. Give me like a rough number.
I really don't. When it comes to like the beach campaign,
Uh huh.
I had like a set mind of episodes in my head. Like I had a max 20. And I
Okay.
think we got to like 16 or something. But yeah, with this one, because it's more of like an open world campaign, I have no idea.
Okay.
Especially because there'll be times where you guys are on point, and other times where everyone's just like off doing their own shit.
Because
So I really have no idea.
here's what I think we have to do left. Um, at least the main parts before we get to like the end game. You know, I feel like we have to talk to the nation that where my character and Quincy's character currently is. We got to recruit them, and then or at least attempt to recruit them, and then after that, I feel like we need to go to the nation that the church is at war with and try to like talk with them and get like some kind of logistics going on. And then
Uh-huh.
after that, this is what I see. This is what I'm kind of trying to like brew. You know, I will give you a peek behind the player's mind. And then after we talk to them, we're gonna try to like work out some kind of peace deal. Like, hey, you leave us alone, we leave you alone. You know, we could maybe trade. Blah 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 blah. Blah. I've even openly said that in the campaign. And then after we do that, however that goes down, we go back to the capital, and that's where, and then like then we go to war, or maybe we try to deal with like the outskirts of that zombie invasion that happened in your one off. Then we do like the final assault. So in my head, I think there's maybe like two or three more main beats to do before like we get to the final battle. But like
Before the rumbling.
yeah, before the rumbling. But like you said though, that's how I'm thinking. I could be completely wrong. You know, like D&D, you never know what's gonna happen. We could just be like, oh, let's
Mhm.
go do this. So I don't know how distracted we're gonna get from then to then.
Mhm.
And Rudy and Kevin really like to fuck around, so and I'm not there to kind of guide them at the moment. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. And one of my favorite things too, though, how Rudy, they were fighting a boss, and they were like freaking the fuck out because like the ground was like crumbling and this and that, and it was looking like shit was gonna happen. Like they weren't gonna make it out of this building alive, and they're like, oh my god, what do we do? And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, do you guys not remember you have a teleportation scroll? And I wasn't even in that
Oh my
fight.
god, you weren't. You really weren't.
My character was nowhere near them, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we got the teleportation scrolls."
See how you should have been there. See, you should have been there.
That was one of my favorite parts right there. How like they all collectively forgot about that. Like the one thing that was gonna get them out safely.
Sheesh, they're dummies.
But okay, the reason why I bring this up is because I was thinking that we should all get like a little gift for ourselves. You know, we should all like do an exchange
I don't like
party.
where this is going.
Why not?
I'm just very suspicious about anything you say.
I'm being sincere. I'm like, this is the first
No.
campaign I finished, and it'd be cool if we all exchange gifts or something like related to our campaign, like get like a minifig of a character or like a little statue or something. I think that'd be cool.
That's funny because I've had those thoughts and I already know what I would give.
Okay,
But go for it.
that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, if we finish this campaign, I'm definitely gonna do that. But now this is where I need your opinion, okay? Because this is where I'm kind of conflicted. I was thinking to just do it for you, Kevin, and Rudy because the campaign initially, for a good chunk, started with just us four. And then Quincy and Ansem more or less came in the middle of every, like, you know, once we got the ball rolling. Would that be rude? Would that be a little mean?
I don't know, maybe.
So yeah, that's why I'm like, okay, if I get them stuff, I'm gonna have to get Quincy and Ansem something too.
You could always get them like a card or something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see. I'm picking up what you're dropping. Okay. Yeah. I think I would do something like that then. Yeah. Hopefully they don't listen to this episode. Kevin,
no,
obviously.
They don't listen to our stuff.
Kevin, I know you're listening right now, so don't.
Yeah, Kevin. In fact,
don't
could
talk.
you forget anything we're talking about? It'd be great. Yeah, honestly, Kevin, if you could just ignore everything we're saying, like that'd be great.
Yeah, shouldn't you be like working right now? Like, what are you doing? Yeah, we're attacking you. Get back to work.
I'm attacking you.
But I think that kind of concludes our podcast episode. A lot of it was me rambling for like 20 minutes about shit. So thank you all for listening. I know that's not very geeky, but whatever.
We talked about geeky stuff.
Yeah. We did, didn't we? Yeah.
I have nothing to say to that. I thank you guys so much for listening. If you like what you're listening to, please kill me. If you like me, you'll kill me. And my suffering.
That's some like emo middle school shit. If you love me, you'll kill me. Oh my god, that's so deep.
That's so deep. Let's go to our room and listen to MCR together.
You know, I look back at those moments and I smile because of how fucking cringy it is. You know, that was the thing.
You know what? I love it and respect it.
You should bring it back.
I have no qualms. We should honestly.
I mean, you have the hair
MCR
for
got back together. MCR got back together.
Yeah, but it didn't hit the same. You know, I felt like it was relevant for like a week, and then that was it.
Well, they gotta drop another banger album.
What if it just like flops? Like they're just clearly fucking cashing in on their glory days.
And then emo's dead forever. No,
but what if Machine Gun Kelly comes and saves it?
I don't want to talk about Machine Gun Kelly. Let's just end the episode. You ruined my day. Thank you guys so much for listening. Lewis, where can people find you?
People can find me on all social media platforms.
Wait, no. What's their homework?
Oh yeah, we haven't done that.
The one time I tried to end the podcast all by myself, I fuck it up. Okay. What's the homework, Lewis?
The homework is to go. It's on demand. No, yeah. If you have the funds, go rent the last Voyage of the Demeanor, and if not, your punishment is to go watch The Flash on HBO Max.
How could you? How dare you?
Fun fact. There's a group chat on Twitter between Rudy, Noah, and I saw on Twitter that they CGI'd Ezra Miller's ass in The Flash, and I thought that was the funniest shit ever because then like in the raw footage where it's him. I don't know the context behind the scene. Noah probably does.
I do.
It's Bruce, Barry, and Diana talking, and you see Diana, and you see Bruce, and then you see Barry, but Barry's cut off, so you just see his ass down. That's all you see. And in the raw footage, it's just him, and he doesn't really got like a dumpy or anything, but it's a butt,
Mhm.
And then and then there's a side by side image, and you see Ezra's ass, and like they CGI'd the fuck out of it to make it look like they've been squatting for fucking years. That shit is funny. That they did that. It makes me wonder how often they really do that in movies. Like with Captain America, how they made his point to be like, that's America's ass. I wonder how much
Mhm.
of that was CG'd.
I think, honestly, I think it's rude that you're making people watch this. Second of all, it's funny seeing people online like genuinely argue about his ass. Like I've seen people like, "Oh, but look in this shot, his ass is better." Da, 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 da," and I'm just like, "Why the fuck do people care?" Like there are genuine arguments on Twitter right now about his ass. But
The internet's a beautiful place.
anyways, my
Yeah,
homework for everyone is to go watch the first episode of One Piece and see if you like it. I'm not even telling you to watch the whole series; just watch the first episode.
I forgot to ask you about One Piece. Weren't they supposed to cover like the first arc? And it's like 60 episodes.
Yeah,
Did they like do that? Did they cover the first arc in the first season?
yeah, they covered a lot of stuff in the first season. I was surprised at how much they covered.
Okay.
It moves along very fast too. I was very surprised.
What else? No, you got any other homework?
Watch Ahsoka. That's all I gotta say.
Watch Ahsoka. Are you
And
gaslighting
wear your
yourself into thinking
mask.
it's good?
No, it's getting better, and I'm happy about that.
I'll be the judge of that when I see the finale.
But yeah, and wear your mask, everyone. Be safe.
Yeah, be safe. Don't be dumb.
But where
No,
can people find you, Lewis?
yeah, people can
I
find
beat you to the
me.
punch.
They can. Yeah, you did. People can find me on all social media platforms. I use the same handle across the board, which Kevin was like, "Oh, why you guys use your real names?" I'm like, "Shut up, Kevin. That's why." I'm Luis Gutierrez. Just look it up, and you'll find me there. And you can find my work online. All you gotta do is Google my full name, Luis Joshua Gutierrez, and you'll find the links to everything, including my social security number. If you look hard enough, I don't know if that's true, probably. But Noah, where can people find you?
People can find me at Noah is Garcia on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find my photography. Yeah.
Your photography makes me fall asleep
You
too.
can
It's
find my.
okay.
It does. It makes me really tired. It's just like the same thing over and over again, and the names are all fucking cornball, and it's just like, oh. But you can find my photography at Noah Garcia _photography on Instagram.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. And if you made it this far, please be sure to give us a good like and review. Help us climb the top of the charts so Noah and I can do this full time and eventually get one of us canceled. And then when that happens, let's just say like I get canceled, Noah's gonna make an attack piece and be like, "The untold stories of Luis. This is why I've always hated him." And then we just start.
It's gonna be like a thumbnail of me crying, and I'm just be like, for years I've been holding back
And
out of duress and threats.
and
I just
then
can't anymore.
and then I'm gonna have to make a response video and be like, "Listen, you guys know me. That's not true." See, that's the plan. Noah and I are gonna crash and burn if we ever succeed as a duo.
So that's why, and we hate ourselves. So that's why we're asking for you to help us succeed.
We're not gonna save any of our money. We're gonna blow it all. So the second we lose all our clout, all our money's gone too, because we didn't save, we didn't invest, we didn't put any in a bank. We just spent it all.
We spent it all on magic cards.
Yeah, I was gonna say Dogecoin, but that's even better. All right, thank you all for listening, and I hope you guys have a great week. Stay safe, and we will see you guys again next week. And my goal is to have the unboxing video of the Starfield thing out sometime this week too. So thank you all. Bye bye.
Goodbye.